welcome to today's edition of Pegasus Test. On today's edition, we're covering the May 2022 edition of the Fairfax Rod and Gun Club 2-Gun Action Challenge match. And this month was a good one as they did something very innovative. They had 5 stages, but this time they had access to a range they previously didn't have before. So let's go over what's going on here. First of all, the first stage here, which was my 4th stage, what you had to do was carrying 2 heavy objects, one an ammo can and one a steel target. You had to run up to one of the shooting points. You could go left or right. It was your choice. And then when you got there, you'd take a shot at one of the 6 Duraballs like I did to start with. And then you'd run over to the dueling tree and you'd have to knock one plate from the left to the right. And you just merely had to go back and forth until you knocked down the 6 balls and hit the 6 plates before the timer was up, because you had a 120-second par time. So what's going on here? As you saw a little bit earlier, I had a little trouble with the rifle getting it loaded. I over-inserted the magazine. What would Stoner Do rifles epitomize for use with the Magpul 3rd generation PMag, and I use Generation 2 mag, so that is one of the things that can happen to you, and bad luck, of course, caught me on the clock. The other thing is, my marksmanship just was not as good as it should be on this stage. And you can see as I have to go to war right here with this one ball to get it go down. Everywhere around it, but not quite getting it. And just wasted entirely too much time here. And finally it goes down, and I dash over to retrieve my pistol, and have to go to war with a target here. And yeah, I'm blaming this all on the shooter. I am going to double check the pistol because I had recently had that Cerakoted and beautiful Finish M05 camouflage and had to remount my RMR afterwards, and I'm thinking that maybe, just maybe, I got an adjustment out of whack. You know, probably not, it's probably all the shooter, but alright, moving on to the second stage, which was my final stage of the day. Thank goodness, because this one didn't go particularly well. And it was ridiculously simplistic. You had 12 Duraballs downrange. You had to shoot through a vertical bunker port, and you were 50 meters away, and you just had to knock the 12 balls over. As you're going to see here, it didn't go exceedingly well for me. And part of that's on the shooter, part is not. Let's get into that. So a lot of people clean this thing pretty quickly. We had a guy on our stage do it in, I think, 27 seconds. So easily it could have been done. What worked against you here is just evil bad luck in my case. One of the balls just got stuck on the stand. It was a small metal stand, and the Duraballs are not completely solidly round. They're made up of different shapes and everything, and I must have hit the ball just right where it wedged into the steel, and after the match I had to go up and check that thing out. It was actually, I had to use both hands to pry it out. It got wedged in, so I put a lot of rounds into it. I'm sure I hit it several times. Missed it a lot of times too, to be honest. But I think it would have went down before par, but bad luck just went against me. You know, the old saying of considered fair and decided against it definitely applies here. Just evil bad luck.
One more in the shadows.
Or if they don't, it'll water bottle.
I think you're high.
I think you're under it.
It doesn't fucking matter, apparently.
Time. Shit.
Okay, now we move on to stage 3. And this was kind of a unique, interesting stage because you had some long-range targets you had to engage, but then you also had to engage some targets on the move, and then finally you had to practice both weak hand and strong hand pistol shooting. So nice set of skills that all have to be combined into one stage. Let's take a look and see how it went. Okay, so waiting for the start buzzer. It's my first shooting position. As soon as I looked through it, I was like, that's not going to work. So I immediately picked another shooting position, which was the right course of action because the hits came quickly. Then after engaging the 2 targets, I did a mandatory reload and then engaged the same 2 targets again through a hole in the VTAC, and when I did that, I tapped the side of the VTAC with my constant on switch on my light, and so I'm running around with light flashing everywhere. Also on this, you might detect, you see the big red dot before I blow that thing completely off the strange. I was using my laser because, hey, I got it on the rifle, why not? And another problem you saw on that first target I blew off the stand, and on this target coming up here, is that I bypass it and then have to go back. And the reason that is I got an ambi safety on this What Would Stoner Do rifle, and I click it off with my thumb and immediately my knuckle puts it back on, and I'm just not used to that manual of arms yet. This was a tough set of shots. Most people don't practice their strong hand and weak hand enough. I know I don't, even though I do probably more than most. And this is a skill that if you've got the time, spend more time practicing it. It will come in handy. Overall, this was a pretty good stage for me, and things are starting off good. This is my first match of the day. All right, we got a straight up Caserta drill here. Only real difference we have is this one, you take your shot standing instead of prone. And as usual, you start off at your shooting position, get a hit on the steel, and what you're doing is you're earning the right to throw the kettlebell. Every yard marker you get it over, which is they're each 10 yards apart, you get a 5-second bonus off your time at the end, and you had 120 seconds to get this done. I'm really happy on this one. I did it in 86 seconds, which was the best score in the armored division. I really hit my stride on this one.
So throw the heavy thing, hit the thing down there.
So brief back my RO here, because that's always an important thing to do on such a complicated stage as this.
I haven't brought Wes up,
Are you ready?
up yet.
Sure, why not?
Stand by!
Always make sure to turn your camera on first before you say you're ready.
Now I'm ready.
Stand by!
All right, that first throw was really good.
Nice!
Caught a really good roll on it. You know, got all the way to the first line, which was just a nice, good morale boost. Here you notice I continue to get good throws. A lot of people think it's the weight of the kettlebell, and while it is a factor, this is more of a technique thing than it is just a sheer brute strength thing. And I have found that if you do the following things, you can have a pretty good run. First thing, whether you're prone or standing, when you place your rifle down, place it out as far as you can reach. When you grab the kettlebell, bring your non-dominant leg back to brace, and one swing only. Good swing or bad swing, it doesn't matter. Don't sit there and wind up with it, because whatever distance you get out, you lose time. The most important thing is, do not watch the kettlebell. Wherever it goes, it'll be there when you get there. Throw it, grab your rifle, and go. And if you notice here, a lot of the times, I'm catching up to the kettlebell while it's still bouncing around. And that's because I don't worry about where it is. I just worry about throwing it. And it'll be there when I get there. This is a really good stage for me. This is the second stage of the day, and one good stage always helps having another good stage. All right, now we move on to the fifth and final stage, which was held on a different stage of the club than normal. And hopefully this will become a regular feature, because this is a nice range to shoot on. A fairly straightforward drill. All you had was 3 firing positions with your rifle. You had 3 targets downrange. You had 2 hits on each, but you could not double tap. So it was 1, 2, 3/1, 2, 3. You did a mandatory reload on the way to the next position. Same thing, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Mandatory reload to the last position. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Clear your rifle. Dash forward to the 1 pistol firing position. Engage the 3 targets again. Those targets you could do with double tap. So most people do like you'll see me do here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Go.
Where am I hitting?
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, low. 3. 1, 2, 3. I finished. Unload. 65-26.
We hope you found this coverage of the Fairfax Rod and Gun Club 2-Gun Action Challenge match of May 2022 helpful and informative. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and tune in for future competition coverage.